one of the most iconic cities in the world, Paris. This city has been and continues to be a major attraction for filmmakers, especially after the French New Wave, when filmmakers believed that cameras should venture out of studios and into the streets. Today, we want to introduce lesser seen films that each depict a different aspect of Paris, Parisian films. Paris, I Love You. We begin our list with a film that its title itself expresses an affinity for Paris. Paris, I Love You is a 2-hour film consisting of 18 short films directed by various filmmakers including the Coen brothers, Alfonso Cuarón, and Alexander Payne. The film portrays the corners of Paris, its streets, cafes, and people through the stories it tells, taking the audience on a 2-hour journey through the city. It premiered at the 2006 Cannes Film Festival and received positive reviews. The second film, Lovers on the Bridge, directed by Leos Carax, portrays Alex, a former circus performer and current homeless person, living on a bridge. One night, he encounters a girl named Michelle, who is a painter and is very much like himself. This encounter marks the beginning of their adventurous journey on the bridge and in Paris. The anarchism we have always heard about in relation to France and Paris is clearly manifested in this film, both in its form and its narrative. Love that develops between Michelle and Alex is a completely anarchistic love. The scene of fireplay on the bridge is one of the most prominent examples of this anarchism. We're going to jump from the 90s to 60s, the era of the French New Wave, where a younger singer named Cleo, after a tarot card reading that predicts a negative event for her, wanders the streets of Paris from 5 to 7, awaiting the results of a medical test that may indicate cancer. Cleo from 5 to 7 is directed by Agnès Varda, the wife of Jacques Demy, whom we introduced with the film The Umbrellas of Cherbourg in the romance episode. You can find the link to it above. Varda is considered one of the best directors of the French New Wave and one of the greatest female directors in history. According to a BBC poll, Cleo from 5 to 7 was voted the best film directed by a woman. It also ranked 14th on the list of the greatest films of all time by the website Sight and Sound, which was conducted in 2022.
Musique. Mon corps, précieux et capricieux, l'azur.
Our fourth film on the list is the final installment of the Moral Tales series by Eric Rohmer. Rohmer, considered one of the greatest filmmakers in the history of world and French cinema, narrates the story of Frederick, a married and successful man, in the film Love in the Afternoon. Despite having a wife and child, Frederick struggles internally with his memories of his bachelor days and the freedom of being with any woman. This conflict continues until he encounters Chloe, a woman from his past. Roger Ebert gave it 4 out of 4 stars, calling it the best of Rohmer's 6 Moral Tales series and adding, it is also the most fully rounded, lacking the one-dimensional tone tone of some of his earlier tales. It's as if he were striking notes in the previous works and is now bringing them all together into a chord. The final scene is his last comment on the series, and Romer is telling us to, for God's sake, stop playing games and embrace each other with honesty. Our fifth film is a documentary titled Chronicle of a Summer, directed by Jean Rouch, a filmmaker and ethnographer, and Edgar Morin, a sociologist. Discussing the story of this documentary might be challenging if we don't first talk about verite cinema. This concept was initially introduced by Russian filmmaker Zhigniew Vertov in the 1920s and later evolved with French filmmaker Jean Rouch. It focuses on capturing reality as it is, without the filmmaker's intervention or manipulation. Filmed during the summer of 1960 in Paris, this documentary begins with the key question posed to random passers-by on the street. Are you happy? The filmmakers, without any predetermined assumptions, present the captured footage to the interviewees and record their reactions and perspectives on their own presence in front of the camera. Jean Rouch and Morin provide glimpses of these recorded moments and the participants' thoughts on their relationship to reality.
M'a dit. Alors il paraît que vous êtes heureux.
Moi, je sais pas, le bonheur c'est pas un but, je me pose pas le bonheur comme but.
Well, after 5 French films, the final film is a Parisian story directed by an American filmmaker, Vincent Minnelli, who introduced his film Meet Me in St. Louis in the Christmas episode, and you can find the link above. American World War II veteran Jerry Mulligan lives in Paris trying to succeed as an artist, and he's an American in Paris.
I had to stop because I discovered I was liking it and I didn't want to become a slave to the habit.
Variety called the film one of the most imaginative musical confections turned out by Hollywood in years. Kelly is the picture's top star and rates every inch of his billing. His diversified dancing is great as ever, and his thespian is stand out.
And now I would like to return to my friends.
I thought you were bored with them. You sure looked it.
You should see me now.
Out.